So my name is Rebecca Spayne. I'm the managing editor for a company called Hand Media International, and we have a range of B2B trade magazines that cover everything from security, fire, construction, house building, and even a consumer baby, like I said, called country music.
Interesting. Country music.
Yes,
Brilliant.
yes.
I like the sound of that. Entertainment into the built environment.
Exactly, yeah.
Fantastic. Right, okay, so how long have you been with the business then?
So I've been with this current company for about 7 years. So I originally started off in the world of books, and I've moved over to trade publishing.
Right, so career changing then. So you
Yeah,
changed career
slightly,
path
yeah.
from books into, and how have you found the journey so far?
Very different, but I mean, you get to talk to people every day. Which is one of my favourite things to do. You get to find out people's stories, find out more
Amen
about
to that.
them. Exactly. I'm usually in your position, so I feel very, very different being in this position now, but it's a pleasure to be here.
Fantastic. So, talking about diversity within the industry, diversity and inclusion, now we're talking about aging workforce in built environment. We're talking about gender, the different genders, whether LGBT, male, female, it doesn't matter. Right, okay, so what would you say in considering where you sit, what you do, it's not just construction, we're talking fire safety. So cutting across all sectors, what would you say diversity and inclusion means to you within the industry?
I mean, that's a loaded question. I mean, first of all, as a happily married woman to another woman with a newborn child at home, diversity for me in terms of especially LGBT for me is something that's very important to me. And I strive very hard to provide representation in the magazines that we supply, not just for gender, but all types of inclusivity. We work very closely with a number of different charities and organisations to showcase all the different talents that we have in the industries, in all the industries, and they're all converging at the same time at the moment, and it's wonderful to see. Like even here today at Anticipate, it's not just fire, it's not just security, it's facilities and building management. It's great to see everybody all in one place together. Do I think there's still a long way to go? Absolutely. We have done a lot in the past few years, and we've jumped some amazing hurdles. But there's still a long road ahead of us. So it's great to see people out here actually trying to strive. I was in a think tank conference yesterday all about inclusivity and raising the dynamic. How can we bring STEM to young people in schools to engage people into the industry from a young age, not just from transitioning industries or later in life, or just change the stereotype of what a security officer or a construction worker actually looks like. And there's so many different aspects to the industry.
I think it's also down to information really for young people especially, because doing what you do, for instance, if anyone should say, oh, construction, no one would think about, oh, there is a media side to construction, there is a marketing department, you've got the communication side of things, there is a lot to it. So what would you say your role, what's involved in your role then? What does your role entail?
So I handle all the content output for our magazine. So it's not just a magazine, it's video production, it's virtual events, it's LinkedIn Live, it's social media. I get to talk to people every day on the front lines, whether they're a building surveyor, whether they're doing the fire risk assessment for a new building. We're in a time, especially in the fire industry, where we have lots of changing regulations at the moment. People need to be in the know, so that's where we come in. We want to be able to transport everyone else's voices and bring them to our audience to make sure that everyone has information, education on demand for free when they need it.
Yeah, and it's navigating, especially online for young people, it's navigating the different portals, different websites, different, it can be overwhelming for a young person. And talking about the different routes into the industry, into built environment, whether it's fire safety, whether it's construction, regardless of what it is within the industry. So the question is, how can we get the information out there without young people getting overwhelmed?
Very difficult question. I feel like it's about talking in a very clear and communicative way. It's not just about coming to trade shows like this, it's about going to the young people as well. We should be doing more presentations and speaking at schools. I did a presentation with an amazing fire risk engineer for Zurich a few months ago, and she went to a school, she did a presentation, and she asked all the young girls and boys, what do you picture a fire risk engineer to be? And they drew what they thought a fire risk engineer was. And what was it? They drew firefighters, every single one. And nobody nobody had an idea what a fire risk engineer was. So it's about changing that narrative, not bombarding with information, but showing that there is a clear career path, going to careers fairs, going to all of them, going to the schools, talking about how this is an opportunity. You've got transferable skills. It's not just about bringing young people on, it's about bringing people who are perhaps, say, a senior fire risk engineer that wants to move into a different side of the industry, more construction, and go into surveying, for example. There are transferable skills there. We need to make representation not from the ground up. We need to make sure that we have people at the table who can make those decisions, make sure that it's an inclusive table, and so that we can help make change throughout the industry, so that everyone can have a role model, everyone can go, I want to be here.
That's the thing. We're lacking representations, aren't we? Especially for women. You know, I think about 3-4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, actually, we're talking 14% of women. Representation of women within construction. I think that's moved up to 18% now. To me, that's awful. That's still,
and it's a number we celebrate, but we have a population, sorry to interrupt you, but
that's all right.
We have a population where women are 51% of the population. That should be represented throughout all different industries, no matter which one industry you're part of. And also, by having a more inclusive and diverse workforce, you're engaging more talent. You can't disregard 51% of the population. You're reducing your talent pool to hire into the industry.
And especially where we've got an aging workforce, we're looking at, a company director thinking of retiring the next, 2 years, 24 months down the line, and you can't really see, you've got a team behind you that you can simply hand over to, but then what happens to that funnel up side of things? How does that then get passed down the line? So with regards to aging workforce then, how can this be addressed?
All the questions now.
But I'm sorry, it's just you're full of knowledge, and the fact that you've got across, different areas of built environment. I just think you fit perfectly well in a position where you can educate young people, and particularly women, changing career path. The transferable skill side of things, bringing it into the industry and helping us enhance the different roles we have.
I mean, I think, like you said, in terms of creating decision makers and making a more diverse decision making board, when, like you say, we have, I can't remember the statistic off the top of my head, but the majority of our workforce now is made up of millennials and below in terms of generations. So the people you see around you today are the people that are going to be the future of tomorrow. So in order to actually have that, like we said, we have the mentors in place, but we need to create bring basically relatability and the soft skills. For example, in terms of women are inherently have more soft skills. So, but from a decision-making point of view, that's a fantastic attribute. So why are we not utilizing those skills at the top to make decisions, to create more representation for the younger generations to come in and go, oh, fantastic, I that's the career path I want.
And we're natural multitaskers, aren't we?
Well, that too, I mean, well, you say that, but if I'm on my phone, I'm gone.
That's it. But I mean, people are different. We just got to understand and highlight our strengths, isn't it? And this brings me down to the disability side of things. You've got people with disability that can function very, very well within the industry. I've come across, I attended one of the networking events a couple of weeks ago. Met a lady, operations director for a massive manufacturing company, and she said to me, Faith, you realise I'm dyslexic? I'm like, really? You wouldn't know.
No.
And, she told me a story, and it was fascinating. They're very creative-minded people, but it's getting to know them. But as an industry, is there enough avenue for us to be able to harness, the strength of this group of people into the industry?
I think it goes wider than that. I think you look at society as a whole, we are not inclusive enough to disabled people. To give a little context from that, so my mum, for example, became terminally ill with ALS about 10 years ago now, and
sorry to hear that.
No, it's fine. It's Lyme, unfortunately. But so she very rapidly became wheelchair bound and lost her mobility, and she still worked at the time in publishing, but to navigate what was previously a very able-bodied life, simple things, going to the office, going Christmas shopping in London at a busy time of the year, different things like that, finding an accessible toilet, a hotel room, a cruise on holiday, all different things like that became extremely difficult. So it's like, it's not just how we can harness disabled people or non-able people within the workforce. It's wider than that. And until we accept that in a society, we can't. Like, how can we expect businesses to suddenly be able to go, oh, I have the resources to create a completely able? We should be able to. It shouldn't even be a discussion point. Same with all inclusion, diversity, gender. We shouldn't be here talking about it today. It shouldn't be women talking fire next door, for example. It should just be talking fire. It shouldn't be a conversation, which just shows how far we have to go. Exactly. And I think that goes across all different
and it's
aspects.
the adaptation of environment, especially for the non-abled body. If I can get my words out right. It's adapting the environment as well. Now, for SMEs, for instance, that's something that I know that a few will struggle with. But personal perspective, personal opinion, I do think that as an industry, there needs to be enough support.
Absolutely.
For SMEs to be able to take on this group of people, which at the moment is quite.
It's slim.
Exactly. So something needs to be done, 100%.
It should. At the end of the day, when you're hiring somebody, it shouldn't be who are they, where are they from, what can they. It should be, can they do the job?
Precisely.
Yes. Do we need to make some additional allowances where need be? Whether we need to provide some additional support? Can we make those allowances? We should be able to. That shouldn't even be a question. Can they do the job? Yes. Done. Tick. There shouldn't be any considerations that come into it.
That brings me now to my hopefully last question. So, what would you say is the requirements or qualifications that's required to do your job then?
I don't think there is. I think you have to be creative, communicative.
Or talkative like me.
Or talkative, Exactly. I think you have to be willing to learn. Every day is a learning day. I write content all day, every day. I talk to people, and that's the best way to learn. To understand the industry, not just from what you read or what information people are putting out there, but from finding out other people's experiences.
I mean, I've been quite fortunate. I come from a media background and then rolled into construction. I've worked a bit in health and safety, but everything I do is got to do with people. It's all still, it's either I'm talking to people, business development, or I'm still looking at the media side of things, which is what I'm doing now. So it's merging. I think it's really just highlighting your strengths, it's really using those knowledge that you've gathered over the years and bringing it into the industry. So brilliant. Anyways, thank you
so much.
It's lovely to have you on board.